Our top.
Good morning and welcome to This Week in 40K, the show about the grim, dark future that is neither grim nor dark. I am not Colin. I am Billy. He is not Billy. He is
Noah.
Yay! Yes, Colin has real life stuff that's happening this week, and so we get a Noah instead of a Colin. Some might even argue that, especially for this particular week of this week, that's an upgrade. We enjoy all of
shush.
How are things with you, Noah? How is life? How is 40K? Feel free to take that question wherever you'd like it.
Yeah, life is good. I am, we're ramping into the holiday season. I have a large family, so there's a lot going on with that. My 20-year-old is moving home. She's on a road trip home right now, so that's great. And
That's
I
fun.
have this weird little event this week called the Championships of Warhammer that I'm going to. So I'm just mildly excited about doing that.
I can imagine that would be quite exciting. Spoilers, that will be something that we discuss shortly. Yes, Jason, the Beard Games are strong today, largely because due to my life, where I have a 7-month-old daughter, the equal holidays coming up, and an insane work schedule, I haven't shaved my beard in 3 weeks. And this is the shagginess that you get.
This is the way.
Yes. It's just easier than shaving every day. So yes, that's my broad life update. I will be going to Tucson on Thursday to stay with my parents for the holidays because childcare in America is an absolute travesty of a system that costs an insane amount of money. And so when you can offload it onto the grandparents for 2 months, you take advantage of this. Plus we like my wife and I like my parents. It'll be a good time. They're excited to see the baby.
Sweet.
In terms of 40K, I am nowhere nearly as accomplished as my co-host today, so I do not have the World Championships to prepare for. But I had a really fun practice game where I played some Black Templars in a fun setup that we'll discuss some when we get to our top story next. So with that, let me try to drive this somewhat successfully. I'm going to play the intro music because I clicked the wrong thing and I don't want to deprive the people of the intro music. So really quickly, let's just hear that.
This week in 40K.
One of the reasons Noah's a great co-host is that he and I both just randomly bop along to that music. It's a surprising banger for just like probably auto-generated free-to-use songs. But if anyone else just sort of boops their shoulders when they're listening to that, like I do literally every week, put it in the comments. I would appreciate knowing that. Okay, with that weird aside, here is our actual top story.
Our top story.
It is not, as I have in the outline, that this week is back after a week. No, as much as it matters to me personally, to the broader 40K universe, the biggest news is that the GW World Championships lists and pods are out, and it is happening this weekend. The technical name is Warhammer 40,000 World Championships of Warhammer. This title brought to you by the Department of Redundancy Department. It will be taking place this weekend in Atlanta. There are 176 players, I believe, is what I had written down here. 176 players from all over the world. Everyone had to win or place very highly at large enough events that had asked to basically give a golden ticket for those who are fans of Willy Wonka. And they get to go to this event. And the idea behind it is to be the premier 40K competitive event of the year. Broadly, the ITC is and was a wonderful way to, at the end of LVO, crown an ITC champion. The broad problem with that we've discussed on this show before is that you have 50 to 100 people at LVO who are trying to win the entire thing for the end of the season, and then 600 to 800 people who are there for the social event, and that leads to some really awkward pairings early. This is a way to get all of the sharks in the same pond, have them eat each other, and have one remain at the end. Noah's loving the idea of eating his fellow sharks.
I don't think I'm a shark here.
And this is part of the interesting things, because Noah, at many if not most of the events he goes to, especially in his broad geographic region, is one of the end bosses. If you want to win a GT in the Pacific Northwest, you have to have a plan to handle Noah. Noah's going to an event where, and with all of the love in my heart, it would be surprising if you made it out of your pod. Is that fair? Is that, I don't think that's casting super.
No, it would be. I think it would be. So I'm, we'll get into it. Whatever. Like, so in my pod, the amazing, wonderful, fantastic people at StatCheck did ELO ranking for each pod and broke it down.
Mm-hmm.
And technically, in my one, it says that I'm 11th. We're going to go ahead and say that I'm 12th, because Richard Siegler is currently sitting in the 16th spot because of ELO. And while ELO is not a perfect system, I'm essentially dead middle of my pod. And my pod, the opening salvo of my pod in the top 4 area is Jack Harpster, Nassim, Jack Harpster, Colin McDade, and
I can tell.
And Ian Crawley.
Yeah. So with Richard Siegler sitting down at 13 or 14.
Yeah. So, coming to this, while I'm going to the pod with the intent of winning my pod. That is that's not where you should. That's not necessarily where the smart money is. That is, however, where the amazing underdog Rocky Balboa story is.
That is very
but I'm sitting middle of my pod, so likelihood is like, to get out of my pod, I would essentially have to win the world's hardest GT.
Yes.
Going with the intent of playing really hard, playing Chaos Knights, it's not going to be. It's not likely in the worlds of math. But boy, am I excited to start throwing elbows.
That will be fun. Let's get into that a little bit more in 1 second. For those of you who this is the primary way you understand the way the world of 40K works, I want to break down how the event is going to work, and Noah fact check me on this. But one thing that I would suggest to GW is advertise this a little bit more, because while all of the independent content creators are doing a wonderful job breaking it down, there's great stuff on StatCheck, Art of War. We're covering it here on this network. Noah's podcast, the Best Overall Show, did a breakdown of it, because he had several people who were going. I think if you just interacted with the GW community site, you might be surprised to find out that this event is happening, and you would be broadly unsure as to how it's happening. So 176 players broken down into 8 pods of 22. And if that math is right, that it's exactly 22 per pod, it's too early in the morning and my second cup of coffee hasn't helped my math. 22 times 8 sounds about right, though. 176. The top player of each pod, so the number one out of all those, each of those 22, will go on to a second bracket. Where is it? Single elimination for the top 8?
Double elimination.
Double elimination. Oh, which is always fun and easy to describe. We'll just go with double elimination and ignore how the double elimination works. And at the end, there will be one person who wins the entire thing.
Can I say something? I know you.
Go.
I know you said we were going to ignore how it works. I just want to point out that there is a world. So with the double elimination, it's if you lose one game and win all your rest of your games all the way to the end, and another person wins all their games to the end, they already said that person who lost and won all their games to the end will play against that final person.
Right.
And if you beat that final person, you have to play that person immediately again and prove your win. So there is an 11-game underdog story that exists where one person plays another person 3 times over the course of Saturday and Sunday. Loses to them in round 1 of the top 8. Goes the whole way to the end. Beats everyone else, and then beats them twice in a row.
And this, There are many reasons that I have no hope of ever being that person, but just that much. I love 40K. It's a wonderful game. My brain, my body would be mush by that point. That's an endurance exercise as much as it is a testament to their 40K ability. So this will be a very interesting and impressive event to follow. One thing I think that's wonderful about it is that no one really seems to be going to this just for the lulz. Everyone wants to bring their A game and prove that they deserve to be there. So you go through these lists. These are the best players in the world bringing what they think are the best singles lists in existence at this point. And that leads to some very interesting choices and interesting innovations. Let's start because you're on the show. Let's start with you with your Chaos Knights, and then let's bounce around to some other fun things.
There are some cool ones for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm playing. I normally been playing Imperial Knights. I chose Chaos Knights because just given the setting, like normally I'll take Imperial Knights because I know that I can go to a standard spread of people event like a GT or major and go X and 1, and that's usually what I'm going for since I'm going for best overall. The problem is every game will be the finals at this event. So I needed something where I have a chance to actually win all of those games. And Chaos Knights being the closest to the play style that I've been, perfecting and much more competitive, I took that. So I've got a Rampager, big angry boy, and I've got 2 Carnivores, and little angry boys. And then I've got 4 Brigands, which is the shooty boys. And then I've got 2 Huntsmen, which is shooty and choppy boys. And then I have 2 squads of Fleshhounds, 2 squads of Nurglings, a Changeling, and a Blue Scribes. So I've got a bunch of demons to go do trash, so I can play fixed or tactical pretty easily. I've got some lone ups in there to do some cool stuff. The damage output from the War Dogs is pretty strong, also pretty survivable. And then the Rampager, because of Knights of Shade, can go through walls. So he basically just like floats around the table and hides, and then comes out like a Jaws scene, like just comes through the wall, eats something, and then disappears. And that's it. I'm really excited.
That sounds really good. The thing that that jumped out from what you said there was really what the addition of the demons does, and your comment about doing fixed or tactical. I know at my end of the swimming pool, it's just tactical because it's easy. It does seem like at the top, people are figuring out how fixed can fit into a game plan and really just flip the game on its head. And just like there are some matchups where the ability to just go fixed really flips them and just gives you, okay, I have the inertia in this game. If nothing else changes, I will win. So my opponent has to make plays, and that gives them the opportunity to make a mistake and me the opportunity to win. Is that something?
Oh, yeah. As a Knights player, the fact is that your opponent is almost always going to bring it down and something like homers, which gives them a very specific floor, right? So the struggle has always been, hey, if your opponent is taking fixed, that game is immediately going to be more difficult. In this case, being able to take fixed when your opponent takes fixed is kind of the play. That way you're on more on even footing. I still think that tactical is really good given that it has spike turns.
Right.
But I think when you're one of the lists that give up a very obvious fixed, it's really good to have that as an option yourself.
Thank you. That is good analysis. All right, let's talk about some other of the spicy lists that are out there. The ones that just jumped off the page to me, and again, you can go to other content creators and hear some comments about this. Innis and Nassim's Blood Angels that have Ball Predators and what are Stormhawk Interceptors? I believe Innis posted on Twitter a picture of his 2 Ball Predators and Stormhawks. I had looked at the list. I knew there were Stormhawks. I didn't realize he had 2 Ball Predators in there. I had to
Ball Predators are really good.
They have decent guns. They're cheap.
Very fast.
Oh yeah, because I guess they can advance and still shoot if you're doing the fire, and they're doing the Firestorm, right?
They're doing Ironstorm.
Ironstorm. Okay. Well, how fast is a Ball Predator then?
I think at least in the previous editions, they got a scout move as well.
Yes.
I
And
mean,
see, this is why you click on all of the parts of. No, they don't have a scout move. They're just moving 12. But if it advances, you can have all of its guns be assault if they target infantry. Okay.
Yes.
And they're all flamers, and so yeah, that will cook a bunch of infantry. I don't know. This is part of what I like about this, and one of the things that I always liked when I was much more into Magic the Gathering is you saw players bring interesting innovations to these top level tournaments, and this is the first time that I feel like I've really seen that, other than like Nick Nanavati YOLO White Scars a few years ago, back in like 8th, and like Broviathan again back in 8th, but in 9th and even 10th, it's felt like the best lists were defined before an event, and then you just saw people do slight tweaks. This time you're just seeing some wild stuff. Is there anything else that jumped out to you that you wanted to talk about from a list perspective?
Yeah, I mean, so there's the known ones that we all seen, right? We've seen Anthony Vanilla and Jack Harpster bring World Eaters. So there are people bringing World Eaters list or similar.
Yeah.
But there's I think there's 3 lists, 3 kind of archetypes that, in addition to the Blood Angels list, because I think that list is great.
Yeah.
One is Jack Harpster and some other people bringing a Black Templars list.
Yep.
There's 2 versions of the list, but the more MSU list that essentially replicates the current static like CSM list, where it's like a bunch of chosen and vehicles. Essentially,
Right.
Jack Harpster's list is the CSM list, except it's Space Marines.
Right.
So that's kind of really cool. I think that list has a lot of interesting little combos, has some survivability in some strange ways because of the enhancements and stuff. And it's just really mean. So I think that list is great.
Really quick, can we just explain that list in a little bit more detail? It's 3 Sword Bros in Impulsors, the Aggressor Bomb in a Land Raider, and then a bunch of Scouts with characters and some Inceptors.
And the characters in each one of those Sword Brother squad makes that squad basically trade with almost anything in the game.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because of the +1 damage. You have Helbrecht coming out just with damage 4, lethal hits, cutting things in half.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing. And then you have Ziegler's list, which is like the most mission play, like Fish of Fury Tau list I've seen in a very long time. And it's just a ton of little scoring pieces. So essentially this list just like hits every aspect of the mission nonstop while also move blocking an opponent. And then the other one that I think is the one to really, really watch is that Liam, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, VSL. Yeah. Liam VSL is bringing Death Guard. And the name of his list specifically is In a Meta Full of Nails, Death Guard is a Hammer. That is the name of his list. And he seems to feel very strongly that the no Mortarian, Footborn, plodding along Stinky Boy Death Guard list is the list to counter the meta and smash through this event. And I think that is pretty interesting. In addition to that, you just have like Eldar and a bunch of other kind of one-offs.
Yeah. Well, so just looking at Liam's list, to be fair, it has a bunch of guys who have legs, but they're inside of armor to start. So it's 4 Plague Marine units that go into 3 Rhinos, then 3 Plague Burst Crawlers, and 3 Brigands.
Yeah.
So it's actually it's got a lot of very hard outer shells before the crunchy middle of Plague Marines.
And those Plague Marines are amazing in melee. That's probably some of the best melee battle line that you have access to at all right now.
Yes. Although if I can give a small plug for those Black Templar, the Crusader units who you see in some of the other units, 13 points, a tactical Marine is good, especially when he comes with a few other things. When you get down to 13 points, a tactical Marine is worth taking. Not worth taking at whatever an actual tactical Marine is, but a Black Templar Crusader is literally just a tactical Marine for 13 points.
Right. I think Black Templar are very good, especially that their vehicles get multi-meltas just randomly.
Just for free.
Some of them, it's a 5-point tax, like on the
Yes,
Lancer.
the not gladiator. What's the gladiator and lancer? The first word in that? It's a gladiator, lancer, gladiator, reaper. So the gladiators pay a tax. I think the impulsors might too. Yeah, so I guess it is you pay 5 points for a multi-melta. Most of us.
Oh no, I would pay that any day.
Yes. So tons of interesting and fun innovation there. Honestly, one of the easier things to search on BCP. BCP did a good job with this, where you can just search the group name to figure out the pods. You can search the players. You can search the factions. Go there, find the armies that you're interested in, and learn about it. And then I have to assume this is being streamed, right? Is Wargames Live going to be there?
Wargames Live isn't, but there are several other streaming groups that are. I believe the French streaming will be there. There's going to be, and also you got to remember, there's also a bunch of other game systems, because at this event this is actually supposed to be like overall country standings for the entire essentially Games Workshop portfolio of games. So there is a Kill Team Championship going on. There's a Underworlds Championship going on, AOS 40K, and they all contribute to this country standings. There's supposed to be, we haven't seen it been put up on the community site yet, but there's supposed to be a website that will be available on Thursday that is kind of like the ESPN style tracker, where you can track both the performance of individual players as well as countries. And a bunch of different things go to the country standings, like best in factions contribute to the country standings, best general stuff, best overall stuff, best painted stuff. All of those things across all systems contribute to a country's overall standing. There will be a country cup, a country will win depending on what it is, as well as the individual glory.
Well, again, to the point of GW, maybe put that website out more than the day before the event starts, so that we can all get excited about it and find it and link to it.
Sure.
But that part of it, I'd forgotten the country aspect of it. That will be fun. Just by quantity, the US certainly probably is the most represented in the 40K.
They are.
No, who is?
I got to look at who is, but I was specifically told in the prep calls, Mike Brandt said, and surprisingly enough, the US is not the country with the most people. So I assume it's got to be the UK. But maybe that also.
So when you fill,
go ahead.
Finish up.
Oh, you know what?
You finish.
Mike Brett might actually have been talking about the whole event, like across all game systems, because I know there's a bunch where America only has like a few people.
Sure. Just a quick filter in the event in BCP. It looks like if you put in England, there are 9 people, and if you put in United States, there are 55. So
okay, we are the most then. I know that they specifically made a big deal that we weren't for the overall big event,
and that makes a good amount of sense. I feel like 40K is very represented in the US, and then all of the other games, second, third, fourth, fifth fiddle. So that's coming this weekend. When are you traveling? Wednesday?
I leave tomorrow. So the event goes Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Thursday, I'm leaving Wednesday, getting kind of late into Atlanta. And then Thursday is 2 4-hour games starting at 10 a.m. So nice casual day.
Okay, nice.
Friday is a full 3 games, 3-hour round starting at 9 a.m. on Friday. And that's the end of pod play. And then if you're in the champions bracket, you'll play up to potentially like 6 more games, but you're going to play a ton of more games. And then if you're in the worlds bracket, you're going to play 3 more games, 2 more on Saturday and 1 more on Sunday. And those still contribute to, you can still win best overall from the worlds bracket, as well as it contributes to your country's overall standing.
So sorry, how do you get it? Oh, is the worlds bracket just the not champions bracket?
Exactly. So everyone who wins their pod goes into a grueling double elimination, potentially a million rounds of 40K, body beating, death, montage. and then everyone else gets 2 casual games on Saturday and 1 on Sunday, so they get to go hang out, do stuff in Atlanta. It should be noted that the grand narrative is going on at the same time.
Yeah.
And if anyone has ever heard of this, it's like a massive spectacle cosplay. You're not allowed to say battle or rounds. You have to say battles, and
Sure.
it's going to be super cool. So there'll be a lot to hang out and do.
That'll be
For
fun.
those of us, if we don't make it out of your pod, if you make it out of your pod, you're just going to get the crap beat out of you for like a million hours straight. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Well, wishing you the best of luck. We will be cheering from the sidelines through either
Sweet.
watching on BCP streams or that GW website that if and when it goes up, I will link in the bottom of this show so people can see. But
Sweet.
best of luck with that. This is I am excited for this event. I think it's a really big improvement in the competitive state of 40K, and so I'm excited for it.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be fun.
All right, we have 2 weeks of events to get through, so let's very quickly run over to that as I find the thing I'm supposed to.
What's winning?
Almost everything, although certainly in some tiers. I think it's fair to say at the top is some combination of Eldari, CSM, and then people are going to try to jam Space Marines in there, but they probably punch a little bit below those 2 armies. Just in terms of results, let's start with the Coventry Super Major 3-day from England. And since we're doing 2 weeks and the way I did this outline, I need to see if this was from last week or 2 weekends ago. This was last weekend. All right. First 5 events are going to be from last weekend. We have in this event, this event was 141 players in 8 rounds over last weekend. It was also next to it was a 2-day super major. So there were 230 some players in Coventry last weekend. The 3-day major was won by Liam VSL, who we mentioned earlier with Chaos Space Marines. Liam brought, and sorry, Colin told me he wasn't doing this show after I did all my lists. He brought the Chaos Space Marine list that I believe he was the winner of London GT, right, Liam?
He was.
Yeah. And he brought the same list, Chosen in Rhinos, 2 Forge Fiends, 2 Blitz, some Warp Talons. 2 Rubric squads instead of the demons that he had. That's the change. Rubrics are good. They have nasty guns that hurt and enjoy being in rhinoceroses. So that's what Liam
Rerolling against things on objectives I hear is good.
Yeah, just full rerolls. Less lethal edition. Are we still allowed to make those jokes? I don't think so.
I don't think that's true at all.
Manny Chima, second place, also Chaos Space Marines. And as the list loads, I'm betting it's almost. Oh no, Manny is brought. I think broadly what he is bringing to the worlds, which Manny finds the math that he likes and then does it. 3 Lords, 3 Dark Communes, 3 Legionnaire squads, 3 Rhinos, 3 Cursed Cultist blobs, 3 5s of Chosen, a Forge Fiend, and some Nurglings. I've been saying since the start of the edition the Chaos Space Marines are good. I think they just needed Eldar to come down a little bit to make the people start exploring them. But when you're critting on 5s and you can decide how those crits turn into things, plus, just having Harlequins that get to wear power armor, Chosen, it's a good army.
Yeah, I would say that CSM still has like the really only big weakness CSM has is that it still its worst matchup is still Eldar, right? And especially I think Manny's a great player and I think he knows what he's doing, but that build has a little bit of a hard time against triple Night Spinner. But I think that build is well positioned against about everything else.
Yes. And we're about to see if Yokel Johansson and David Gaylord, who were 3rd and 4th with Eldar, did their triple Night Spinner nastiness. But just browsing through the worlds list, it looks like triple Night Spinner is where most Eldar players have landed.
There's a couple weird ones. There's a couple Yannari style lists with Dark Eldar allies.
Darklands.
But for the most part, it's triple Night Spinner, either Avatar or Incarn. Probably Fugan, and some sprinkling of other things, and then like 4 to 6 other units, depending on how heavy you went on characters.
And Noah just described Yokel's list. It is those 3 Night Spinners. It is the Incarn, Farseer, Fugin, no Farseer, Fugin, Spirit Seer, Autarch. And the other thing is they all have the 10 Wraithguard with Wraith.
Oh yeah, the Wraithguard is, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that's Yokel's list, and let's see if David also did the exact same thing.
Was Yokel's list with the 3 squads of Warp Spiders?
It was 4 squads between Warp Spiders, Swooping Hawks.
Yeah, cool.
David brought Wayleaper, Farseer, Fugin, Incarn, Rangers, 2 Hawks, 2 Spiders, 10 Wraithguard, 3 Night Spinners. So basically, Hawks, Spiders, Shadow Specters. Occasionally, you'll see like Shroud Runners or Rangers. 3 to 5 of those units, 3 Night Spinners, 10 Wraithguard, and the character spread that we said. That's going to cover your Eldar lists. But
occasionally they'll bring a squad of Fire Dragons to go with Fugin, but most of the time Fugin's just running around on his own, being a pain in the butt.
He's surprisingly hard to kill and hits more than hard enough. Plus, he can be a Incarn delivery system. The 2-day Coventry Super Major from this past weekend, we had Vic Vijay, first place with, let's see if it actually was Adeptus Sororitas, or just the fact that that's the default thing that shows up in BCP if you don't update it. No, he brought sisters. St. Celestine, Triumph, Canoness, the Super Killy Palatine, and a Dialogus, 2 10s of Sisters, 30 Arco-Flagellants, 2 Tiny Crusaders to do mission stuff, 5 Seraphim, 1 Castigator, 3 Exorcists, 1 Annihilator, and 2 Rhinos. This is a list that has been picking up ever since we started. We were all making fun of Sisters late September, early October, and then they started winning with like almost the same list. So, Noah, do you have thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 Sisters builds that are doing well, right? There's one that's like forgoes the Arc-Flagellants for like even more little, 5-mans and stuff. So like, and I think even drops some of the indirect fire tanks just to get like a million little things to do the mission to be sacrifice units. And then there's this list that hits surprisingly hard for what it's having, and then also has a couple like almost like auto win matchups, which is kind of funny. The Exorcists are very good, and then so like the thing about the Exorcists is they can just randomly spike into infantry super hard out of line of sight, and they can get them back to hitting on. I think you can get them back all the way to hitting on 2s, but hitting on 3s with some amount of rerolls for sure.
Yeah,
and super high strength, so wounding most things on 2s, significant amount of damage, and they're putting out a lot. So there's some lists that it's just going to pick up most of their mean, especially heavy infantry units right off the bat before they get to interact, while the little sisters get run out and start doing stuff. I think any non-vehicle based Marine list is going to have a little bit of concern against this, and even the the Iron Storm lists, the extras can very really just pick up whirlwinds out of line of sight, which is a massive problem for the Iron Storm list.
That all makes sense. Alex Petford in second place with Eldari. Let's do a quick check to see if Alex did anything exciting. I do count 2 avatars as exciting. But
me too.
Oh, okay. Alex brought some clowns. I think Alex has been bringing clowns. So 1 Troop Master and a Star Weaver and 5 troops, and that's the excitement. 2 Night Spinners instead. You get clowns. Okay.
I just call taking less than 3 Night Spinners, in my opinion, as the person who might be across the table from those lists, is exciting.
Yes, Night Spinners are the most fun. Is a 0-sum resource, and I want to have all of it, and you may have none of it.
Sure.
They're just, who decided it was no advance and -2 movement? It's just, you won't move. It's cool. Here's some mortal wounds. Enjoy.
A little much.
Yeah, a little bit. Vincent Chan with Death Guard in third place. Let's take a quick look at this. Morty or no Morty? What's your guess?
I would say, I'm guessing no Morty.
No Morty. You would be correct. We got a Biologist Putrefier, Lord of Virulence, Typhus, 10 Plague Marines in a Rhino, 3 Death Guard Predator Destructors. Okay.
That's weird, but I'm not doubting it. Obviously, did well.
Yeah. 2 3s of Death Shrouds, 2 Bloat Drones, 2 Mephetic Blight Haulers, 3 Plague Burst Crawlers, and some Nurglings. So this is a hulls list. You are starting to see that, and I would actually think that, and tell me if I'm completely off base here, you do this level of hulls because while Night Spinners are good, they really need to fish for 6s to hurt tanks because, again, the AP dash. So I would imagine it's intended to counter Eldar and then, figure out the rest of your matchups from there.
Yeah, 100%. And then the Predator Destructors are actually, if you pick the Plague, like the aura that it's plus 1 AP, suddenly those Predator Destructors just like punch through anything without an invul. And so it's actually like a nice counter meta. And then you have like the blow drones and stuff hit up there super fast and put out your -1 to hit or -1 to armor save stuff. It's pretty good. I think it's definitely a meta play, which especially over there right now in Europe, I think is good. It's interesting that it's not more infantry because I think UKTC terrain loves a shooty infantry list.
Yeah.
But specifically Death Guard, I think mechanized is kind of where it's going.
There we go. And this is why we have Noah here, because he knows what he's talking about, and I just fake it. We got Matthew McCurdy here in 4th place with Space Wolves, something that I wish I could ever figure out how to make work. So let's see what Matthew did. Stormlance, which is the White Scars one. Bjorn, Harold Deathwolf, Logan Grimnar on foot, Ragnar on foot, Lieutenant on a Thunderwolf, a Lord on a Thunderwolf, Ballistus Dreadnought, 3 Blade Guard, 3 3s of Inceptors, all with plasma, a Predator Destructor, 2 6s of Thunderwolf Cav, 1 Whirlwind, and then 2 5s of Wolfen, who don't have a typo on their hammers, but are cheap.
Wolfen I don't understand in this build, but I think I'm sure they have like something they can be used for. They are cheap. They don't seem to do anything exceptionally well, but it seems fine. The Thunderwolf Cav I think are actually really good. And the Logan on foot is good because he's got that once per game like pop.
The aura.
Yeah, pumps everybody up. I do feel like maybe the list that just like runs more Thunderwolves, more Wolf Lords, and more Lieutenants, all in Wolves, is like at least cooler. But this list is definitely, it's got a bunch of like best like take all comers components, your Ballistus and whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's got a bunch of really powerful units that are going to hit really hard, advance and charge. And then the Thunderwolves are a really good distraction piece. So I think it's a great list. It's cool. It's not all in on like 18 Thunderwolves, which is what I want in the universe. Right? But
I think assuming we can plow through like 8 more tournaments, I have an 18 Thunderwolf Cav list to talk about.
Cool.
Team Battle Brothers 40K Major in GT in Carthage, North Carolina, 90 players, 5 rounds this past weekend. Let's see how we can go time-wise. Justin Roscoe with Orcs. In the interest of hitting as many lists as possible, I'm going to characterize. This one has a bunch of Beast Naga boys. This is a trucks build. So 4 trucks and a battle wagon with tons of foot folks in it. 2 3s of piggies, 2 5s of storm boys, and some war bikers. Starting to see a few war bikers spike out. They're fast. They move places. But a green tide of dudes in trucks. Named it Rollout. In the interest of, that's what Justin named his army. That's what it would do. Any comments on Orcs? I know a lot of people.
No, they're good.
Yeah. Have a plan to be hit by them turn 1 or 2 or lose. And if you have that plan, you have a decent shot at winning.
If you ignore AP1, you feel pretty good about going against Orcs. Otherwise, it's scary.
I did have a unit of Deathwing Knights absorb 2 turns of an entire Orc army and still had 1 model left. It's just like, all right, you can't really do anything. Steven Soroka with Thousand Suns from Team X and 4. That's funny. This is okay. This is the MSU all of the Cabal points list, like 15 characters and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rubric squads. With one Rhino, some Enlightened, and a Blue Scribes. So just this is someone who knows. Oh, and Magnus. There's a Magnus. This is someone who knows what they want to do with their Cabal points. They have a plan. That plan is more complicated than anyone who doesn't play Thousand Suns will follow, and they will hurt you in many phases.
Michael Welsh in chat says, I can show it, says that there were changes to this results of this tournament. We don't know what they are right now, but if you know in chat, feel free to drop it in.
Please, and then we will try to update what I'm saying. But if I can talk about Mark Hertel and John Casey before Michael Welsh can tell me what it needs to change, we're just going to assume Mark and John are the talked about people. Mark with Ultramarines, just okay. So no Justin Winter. Win went to Steven. That's all I'll say about that because I don't know anything more and I don't want to say anything weird.
Sure.
Gladius Ultramarines. The Apothecary Biologist with his aggressors. Marnius, the lone op lieutenant. We got 6 Blade Guards. 3 is Dev Sense. 1, 2 Inceptor squads. A regular Land Raider and 2 Land Raider Redeemers. And a Calidus Assassin. Triple Land Raider and or
this is cool.
When we get to the previous weekend, triple Repulsor Executioner, triple giant Space Marine tanks is a thing you can do and do very well in this meta. And as much as anything, that makes me happy.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And then John Casey, if anyone here ever watched the lovely early 2000s TV show Chuck, it's a great name here that John has. No, you weren't a Chuck fan, Noah?
No.
Okay. John brought the Chaos list, Chaos Space Marines, 3 Lords, Cultists, 2 Rubrics, 3 Chosen, 2 Blitz, Warp Talons, a couple Forge Fiends, a couple Rhinos, the usual Chaos Demons.
The standard list, yeah.
Yeah, the standard one. No Dark Communes is the thing that is the call out there. And that is what we have for Team Battle Brothers 40K Major GT. The Rumble on the Rivers 2023 in Fort Wayne, Indiana. This one was 60 players, 5 rounds, won by Garrett Stacy with Death Guard. Let's see what Garrett did. Death Guard, Source Raider, and Terminator armor times 3. Okay. Mortarion. 1, 2, 3, 4 5-man Plague Marine squads, 2 Rhinos for them to sit in, 3 Plague Burst Crawlers, and 3 War Dog Brigands. Okay. Do you know off the top of your head what benefit the Death Guard, Sorcerer, and Terminator armor gives a unit?
I think they have a mortal wound output.
Okay.
And I don't know what else they do, but I believe they have a mortal wound output. I'll look it up while you're reading other things.
They probably also can't. Can they attach to regular Plague Marines and then fit in Rhinos? I would imagine not. So they're probably just hanging out on their own doing those mortal wounds.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. Let's see. I can pull this up very quickly. Data cards.
I will keep
Death
going.
Guard. Keep going. Yep.
Joshua Minich with, it says Iron Warriors. I'm going to assume this is just a generic cast Space Marines army. It is. Lord, double Dark Commune with their friends, Master Possession, Sorcerer, and Terminator, Cultists, 3 Rhinos, the 2 Cultist Blob, 2 10s of Chosen, 2 5s of Noise Marines, it's a personal favorite of mine, to go on those Rhinos, 4 Blitz, and some Nerdlings. You got the...
yeah, they do, at the start of the fight phase, you can roll 1d6 on a 1, the Psyker's unit suffers D3 mortal wounds on 2+, and then each time an attack is allocated to the model in the Psyker's unit. That's just they're not leading anything, but it can reduce damage by 1 per unit that's in. And then Pestilent Familiar is once per battle after selecting targets for psychic weapon equipped with this model, damage characteristic of 2.
Okay.
And then they have a psychic weapon that is Curse of the Leper. 2d if it's hazardous, 2d6 shots, hits on 3, strength 6, AP 2, 1 damage. I actually don't know why they're taking these units, but it seems fine.
They could probably deep strike down into odd and interesting places and do better damage than a one model deep striking unit could do.
Yeah, it's fair.
Folger Piles with Eldari. Probably the exact same thing we've talked about, but let's see if Folger did something fun. Folger brought Warwalkers, and only one Night Spinner. So 3 Warwalkers, 1 Night Spinner, and then all of the other normal stuff. Okay, Folger. Okay, you want to allow your opponent to have some fun, and I support you in that. And Jake Gray with Astra Militarum, 4th place. We've got we're gonna we got Lord Solar, we got a platoon command squad and a tank commander, 40 Cadians and 10 regular guardsmen, 4 Chimeras, 2 Cyclops demo vehicles, 2 Leman Russ Demolishers, 2 Manticores, 2 Scout Sentinels, some Scions, and a Calidus Assassin. So this is a very mechanized list. Really starting to see the rise of tank hulls. We have set a lot of tank hulls on this. And so that is an interesting thing to be aware of. Have a plan for dealing with tanks. All right, and now onto the events that I prepped so I don't have to click links. San Antonio Shootout 2023 in San Antonio, Texas. This one is the last one from this past weekend. We have George Bobkov, Chaos Space Marines, perfect 500-point weekend. Double Dark Commune with their friends, 2 Masters of Possession to go with Chosen instead of Lords, 1 Rhino to hold all of those Chosen, Cultists, 2 Forge Fiends, 4 Blitz, 2 5s of Warp Talons, 3 Nurglings, and the Blue Scribes. You're not going to see many units other than this, but the Master Possession is an interesting choice other than the Lord.
They still hit really hard.
Yeah. Yes, they will delete what they touch. Apollo Chang with Eldari in 2nd place is this is the list that we've been talking about. 2 5s of Hawks, 2 5s of Spiders, Night Spinners, Wraithguard, etc. Sorry, Apollo. This is what you get for bringing the same list as everyone else because it's freaking horrifying. Travis Gray brought Anthony Vanilla's list from Cali Cup that we're going to talk about in a second of World Eaters. Angron Karn, Lord Invocatus, Lord on Pig, Master of Execution, 10 Jackals, 10 and 5 Zerkers, 2 Rhinos, 3 regular 8-bound, 6 and 3 exalted 8-bound. You will hear that exact point-for-point army at least once more, if not twice. I forget. And then Vyasar Ganesan, kudos on your name, brought NIDS in an assimilation, whatever the assimilation second word is. Interesting one. Swarmy, a Tyrannocyte, a Biovore, 2 Exocrines, 3 Horospexes, 10 Neurogaunts, 1 Neurolictor, 3/3/1 Pyrovores, 3 Solo Rippers, 6 Tyrant Guard, and 6 and 3 Zoanthropes. Not as much mission play in this one, but a lot of
no Biovores, you said.
0 Biovores.
Interesting.
Yeah, I guess the plan is the Rippers. So that's it for this most recent weekend. The weekend that Colin and I missed due to life, there are only 3 events. I can do 3 events in 12 minutes. I am that talented. California Cup 23 in San Diego, California, that I am frankly had FOMO that I missed out on because it's close enough to me I could have gone to. And I will probably be going back because I heard wonderful things about it from everyone who attended. Did you make it down there?
I almost last minute bought a ticket and flew out on Thursday. It was very close.
Okay. It was won by good friend Anthony Vanilla, 9-0, with the list that I mentioned just above. Angron Karn, Lord Invo, Lord on Pig, Master of Execution, 10 Jackals, 15 Berserkers, 2 Rhinos, 3 regular 8-bound, 3 and 6 exalted 8-bound. When you know the fight phase as well as Anthony, take the army that advantages knowing the fight phase as well as Anthony. I have found that World Eaters punch not as hard as I had feared, but clearly in the right hands, they punch more than hard enough. 2nd place, got a fun one. Alex Spithopoulos with Dark Angels, and actual Dark Angels. Terminator Ancient, Azrael, Lieutenant with Combi Weapon, the lone op one. 10 Deathwing Command Squad, 10 Hellblasters, 3 Inceptors, a Dark Shroud, 3 Repulsor Executioners,
Nice.
5 Scouts, and a Calidus. I do believe the Cali Cup, because it was an FLG event, still had some form of player place terrain. And if you can control where your terrain goes, 3 Repulsor Executioners, freaking scary. Third place, we have Innes Wilson, CSM. This is, again, broadly the list that we've been talking about. Rubrics with Flamers is the fun thing, is 5 of those, but otherwise it's, Liam's list broadly: Chosen, Warp Talons, Obliterators, Forge Fiends, Rhinos, Lords, etc. And as we said, Innes has pivoted off this to Blood Angels, so from being very much standard to a very fun and interesting snowflake. And then finally, 4th place, we have Brad Chester, who did Dark Angels Vanguard, but a somewhat different take on it. Terminator Ancient, Phobos Librarian, a Ballistus, 2 3s of Dev Sense, 5 Deathwing Command Squads, 5 Grav Devs, 2 Lancers, 6 3/3 of Inceptors, 5 Infiltrators, and 2 5s of Scouts. This list can be everywhere, score all of the points, and still kill you a decent amount. And in the hands of Brad Chester, that would be a scary, scary set of tools.
For sure.
So that was that from 2 weeks ago. We have the Midmo Maelstrom in Ashland, Missouri. So many M's in that. 57 players, 5 rounds, won by Kyle Lamperez, again with Dark Angels. So Dark Angels doing well. These are Dark Angels who are cosplaying as Iron Hands. So it's the Iron Storm. Azrael, 2 Tech Marines, 10 Assault Intercessors, 5 regular Intercessors, 2 Ballistas, 2 Lancers, 3 and 3 Inceptors, 1 Land Raider, Redeemer, and 2 Redemptor Dreadnoughts. These are all things that appreciate the rerolls and the advancing and charging from, or advancing and shooting from the Tech Marines, etc. There are good, when you have 150 data sheets to pull from, you can find good armies.
Yep.
Ryan Verbeck brought a Vanguard of Tyranids. This one's fun. 3 Brood Lords to go with 30 Gene Stealers.
Nice.
Yes. A Death Leaper, Neuro Tyrant, 20 Gargoyles, 1 Byrovore, 2 Exocrines, 3 Lictors, 1 Maleceptor, 3 Neurolictors. From what I understand, Gene Stealers sort of have noodles for hands, but if you want to make them good, I think this is the way to do it. And Ryan went 5-0 at a 57-player tournament. So,
sweet.
Yep. More NIDS in 3rd place. Jake Harris with the Synaptic Detachment. Death Leaper, because not only is it either the Death Leaper or the Norn Emissary is the coolest model of 2023. I accept no other answers. It's also phenomenal on the table. Death Leaper, Neuro Tyrant, Old One Eye, a Winged Prime, 40 Gargoyles, a Byrovore, 3 Exocrines, 3 Neurolictors, an Assimilator, 1 Pyrovore, 6 Raveners, a Solo Ripper, and 3 Zoanthropes. So some big things, some small things, some things in the middle, many bugs. I wish there were more NIDS players near where I live, because I would like to play against them. I think they'd be interesting. And
NIDS
then
are fun to play against.
Yeah, things would die on both sides, and that's just always a good game. It's like
why
it's hard
NIDS are fun. NIDS have been fun every edition to play against, even in the days of the whatever that detachment was. That was wild. But I think NIDS are always fun to play against, because it's always a army with a lot of different types of units in it.
Yeah, I would argue that immediately after release in 9th edition, when the Maleceptors were doing 26 mortal wounds in an area of effect through walls, might not have been the most enjoyable play pattern.
Sure.
And the Warriors took a while to figure out, but your broad point well taken.
Leviathan was also a little rough for a minute, but it's generally good.
Kyle McCord, 4th place with Guard. Gaunt's Ghosts, Lord Solar, 1 Tank Commander, 10 Cadians in their Chimera, 2 Basilisks, 6 Bulgrins, 2 Manticores, 2 Dorns, 2 Solo Scout Scents, and 5 Scions. Bulgrin are the exciting thing there, along with the 2 Dorns, but broadly a list of data sheets that you hear a lot.
Yep.
And then the final event that we will talk about, one where we know many of the people, and you might even know who this 3rd place person with a weird name is. It was the Atomic City Warzone in Pasco, Washington. 49 players, 5 rounds. won by the wonderful Bean Eater himself, Lucas Troller, with Chaos
The
Knights.
lankiest boss. Ah!
Was having this conversation with my wife and daughter sitting at the dinner table last night, saying to my daughter that sadly she is going to be an endomorph. She is just not going to struggle to put on weight. There are some people who just, no matter what they do, are going to be skinny. And then there's some people like us who really have to fight to fit into our clothes most of the time. Lucas is one of those people who just, he and I could share some body mass index and come out right about the mean.
He grows up. He only grows up, not out.
Yeah. I did that. I grew out and then up through puberty, and then puberty stopped, and I just kept growing out, and the up stopped. It's really disappointing. I would love to get back to that. Anyway, Lucas brought 1 Stalker, 6 Brigands, 1 Huntsman, 4 Carnivores, 9 Nurglings, and the Blue Scribes. Why is this list better or worse than yours?
So Lucas and I have talked about it. He feels that the Rampager list is like about the same. The dogs list, the 13 dogs, is a little more favored because it's just got more sacrificial pieces. The Rampager represents 3 dogs, and Brigands are really amazing, especially in the specific matchups. I would say that it's less. It doesn't have a distraction piece, which is actually a positive thing sometimes. I don't know. I think the 13 dogs list probably on paper stat is just a little bit better. I think the Rampager has specific matchups sometimes, and also scenarios where suddenly like you just can't deal with the Rampager and it eats half of your stuff.
Right. Fair enough. Second place, Donald Plummer, also undefeated 5-0 with Tau. Cadre Fireblade, Farsight, Cold Star, Long Strike, 20 Breachers to go into the 2 Devilfish, 6 and 3 Crisis Suits, 2 Hammerheads, 4 Hounds, 10 Pathfinders, 2 Piranhas, and 6 Tetras in units of 2.
Donald has been having an amazing season. He'll be at Atlanta as well, and he is a member of our team, an awesome player, and he's doing really well with his style.
Yeah, and you guys did a best overall show talking about prep for this that he was on, I believe.
Yeah,
yes?
Him, Steve Trimble, and Kazra Husadar, and hosted by our good friend Joe Boomerito.
Yes, so go listen to that for some excellent 40K content. All right, third place. Do you know who Tarzan is?
Yes, I do actually know Tarzan. So I don't know. He has somehow migrated to the West Coast, but I ran into Tarzan in the middle of the country-ish / the South. And I don't know his real first name. He's an outstanding painter. He's an outstanding player. He also has like a million hobbies. Like he's got like this really amazing hobby garden that's like crazy. I think he's also like a medical professional of some kind, has a bunch of certifications. He's one of those people who seems like he's good at every single thing he does, and is a pleasure. I've played against him before, and he's good. He's really good. I don't know what he's doing on the West Coast.
Okay, but goes by Tarzan. This isn't someone just messing with BCP and putting in a silly name. Tarzan is their given 40K name.
Yeah, I think my suspicion is that he has a career where his name and reputation has its own identity and chooses to keep those things separate.
Perfectly fair. Okay, Tarzan, congrats. I would not have known this. No, I am glad you're here to inform me. 4-1 with Orcs. Badruck, crap. I will be right back. My nanny showed up.
Okay, well, while he's doing that, so this was cool. Had a bunch of Grot tanks as well, and his only loss was into Donald Plummer. They played off in the finals.
Yep. Okay, I'm back. Did you talk about Tarzan's list?
I mentioned that has Grot tanks, and that his only loss was to Donald.
Okay, that's fun. And then the last list with what I promised you long ago. Joel Rogers brought a Space Wolf Stormlance, and this was the 18th Thunderwolf Cav, plus 3 more characters for 21 Thunderwolves.
He went X and 1.
Yes. Logan on Slay, Lieutenant on a Wolf, a Lord on a Wolf, the aforementioned 18 Thunderwolves, 2 5s of Assault Intercessors, 5 Fenrisian Wolves, 3 Inceptors, 5 Infiltrators, and 3 Vindicators. So
Vindicators are very good right now.
They're 190 points. It's a lot of points.
It is a lot of points, but they're really tough.
Yeah.
They they play the come off reserve game really well because of the range of their gun, how much damage
Okay.
they do. So they become like a weird like buffer zone. You want to stay away from the sides.
Okay, that's
And
fair.
once they're in combat, because of the blast shield, they can shoot their gun into combat.
Yeah.
So there's not a really way to tap them and turn them off.
Perfectly fair. Good notes, things I would not have known. And if you have to stay away from the edges because of 3 Vindicators and there are 21 Thunderwolves in the middle, there's not really a happy place to be on that board. So, Joel,
Rapid
congrats.
ingressing a Vindicator is scary.
Oh. certainly as intended. A Vindicator is the sort of model that can rapidly ingress.
Sneaky.
Well, that is our show for today. Noah, it has been a pleasure.
Always.
Where, if they enjoy your voice, where can they find you otherwise?
So you can find me a couple places. Definitely on this channel, occasionally helping with other podcasts, but also we have the Best Overall Show every other Thursday, and we alternate between community, hobby, and competitive play episodes. And then if I can take a second to plug, on March
Please.
8th through 10th in 2024, we're going to have an 8-round, 150-person cap major in Mount Vernon, Washington, Skagit Valley Fairgrounds. It's put on by Aegis Games. It's the Aegis Spring 40K Major. So look that up in BCP. And we'd love to have you out. There's also going to be a bunch of other game systems, Magic and stuff being played at that same event. So come check us out.
That is wonderful. Well, and I wish you the best of luck. Have that Rocky story this coming weekend. Play 13 games of 40K over 4 days. Sleep for the next week.
I'm about it.
It's been This Week in 40K. We'll be back next Tuesday. Lovely talking to y'all. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.